you all. Thank you for joining me this week if you're new to the channel, and for my regular subscribers, appreciate y'all being here as always. This week, I thought I would share some sort of visual demonstration of the zebra mutation in jungle carpet pythons, as well as the super zebra form. Every time I post a photo of the super zebras, I tend to get a lot of people asking questions and just a lot of general excitement about them. And there's some things that I think are worth talking about with this mutation. So I figured I could show you a normal jungle, zebras, and then super zebras, and kind of talk about each type along the way, and kind of just some anecdotal stuff about these animals as we go along. So stay tuned, and I hope you enjoy this video this week. Alright, so this is one of my adult jungle carpet pythons. This is an adult female produced by Psychotic Exotics, and this is a pretty standard jungle type of carpet python. It is currently recognized as a subspecies as Morelia spilota chenii, or chenii, however you pronounce it. And these guys are most noted for their high contrast black and yellow, with a lot of the US selectively bred lines, that is anyway. And they can vary quite a bit in appearance. They're quite variable, as carpet pythons typically are, from some spotting rosettes to striping, and typically they have quite unique head stamps. So very bold markings there. And you can start to recognize different traits and different lines and appearances from certain breeders or certain stock over time. So there's a lot of variation, but this does not carry any morphs or mutations. This is essentially just a normal jungle carpet python, albeit a very exceptional example at that. So this girl has bred for me twice, and I'm hoping to breed her again this season. So now let's show you what a zebra jungle carpet python is. So this right here is an adult male zebra jungle carpet python. Now the zebra mutation, and he's also in shed, so he's a little smoky. But the zebra mutation basically reduces the lighter pigmented areas, makes them very busy and barred, sort of like a zebra pattern, hence the name. And then it can really break up that head pattern, making it very erratic and busy. Overall, just a kind of a busy, aberrant animal. Oftentimes it'll create a negative dorsal stripe, so instead of a yellow stripe, it'll be black. You can get a lot of variation in this mutation, and it can really be well done with high yellows, striping, or high blacks, and get a lot of cool looks out of them. So this is an incomplete dominant trait as far as its mode of inheritance goes. So this is the heterozygous form, and an incomplete dominant mutation in the heterozygous form, you see a visual difference in the phenotype. So we don't refer to it as a het, but it is technically the heterozygous form of this mutation. The homozygous being the super, which we will look at later. But this guy right here has, at this size, sired a clutch for me. He is not very large, doesn't need to be in a lot of python species. The males can reach maturity at a smaller size, especially in herpetoculture. We tend to keep them a little bit smaller for health reasons and just kind of an efficiency standpoint. So this guy is handleable, but the one thing you will quickly learn about zebras is they typically have a reputation for being a little nippy, snappy, and feisty. He was like this for pretty much his whole life, but he's been a little twitchy. Others not so much. So if you are looking into getting into some zebras, just be prepared. They're a little notorious for having some cranky attitudes at times. But here is this guy. And I should mention this male was produced by Stephen Katz of SBK Reptiles, and I've had him for quite some time as a baby. And he's produced some decent looking zebras for me over the last season, so gonna try and give him a go again this year too. But here you can see just how kind of busy and crazy his pattern is compared to that first jungle we looked at. All right, let's take a look at my female zebra. This is another zebra, of course, and this is my proven breeder adult female produced by Don Patterson up in Canada. And as you can see, she's very different from that other male, quite a bit busier, even dorsally, but this belly is pretty wicked. And this girl definitely has a very typical zebra attitude, but I've gotten to a point where I can handle her, and she kind of understands what I'm about, and I know what her tells are when she's had enough. But I used to colloquially refer to this girl as Palm Blaster, because she bit me in the palm of my hand 2 times in a couple months. Pretty painful spot. So she was a very notoriously nasty snake at first, and you know, just with some time and patience and letting her be, she's learned to trust me. So again, another great example of one of the variations of a zebra. Still very busy, erratic, broken up head pattern, but a slightly different look from the male. So a very unique animal in its own right. So there's some color variation that comes with them. They tend to have a little more golder yellows on top and more canary yellows on the side. Especially as they age, they'll get a little bit darker, but with selective breeding, there are a lot of very high yellow zebras out there that stay beautiful into adulthood. So a lot of progress has been made on those recently. So, but yeah, this is my adult female proven breeder zebra jungle carpet python. Again, the heterozygous form of this incomplete dominant mutation. So not too bad as far as temperament goes. Good size on her. She's about 6 years old. She eats medium to large rats every 3 to 4 weeks, depending on the season. And she's a fantastic snake now. Much more amenable at this size and temperament, fortunately. So, all right. So now let's go take a look at what happens when you breed a zebra to a zebra and you produce offspring that carry 2 alleles of this incomplete dominant mutation, and what the homozygous form results look like. Okay, so I'm going to show you the pair that I produced in 2019. They are the same mutation, the same homozygous form of this mutation, but they are slightly different, and this is going to be where I show you some of the deleterious effects of inbreeding depression in this mutation. Now, the zebra gene was the first mutation in jungles to pop up, and when it happened, there was a lot of people rushing to see what they could do with it, and at the same time seeing what the super form looked like. With some outcrossing, it seems that you can reduce some of these symptoms, and you can get none, no issues really, but typically you're going to have what is known as a little bit of tail kinking in the super form of the zebra mutation. Same cranky zebra attitude on the super. Some can, you know, chill out, of course, like any snake, which is why I'm using a hook. I would prefer not to have this video be a bloody one. Woo! Of course, he's going to do that. So he's really twitchy. He's kind of an extreme example of that attitude. And you can see the super form is just gold. No pattern whatsoever. There's a little smidge of, you know, color on the head, but what you see here is a pretty significant tail kink. And I actually ended up having to snip a little ball off the end that was folded over, because that's, you know, a severe manifestation of that inbreeding, so to speak, even though the 2 parents were completely unrelated. Now this guy, he's just pretty keyed up and focused on me, but you can see how he's kind of like two-toned almost. So this is one style of super zebras you'll see where the top is almost a darker gold than the flanks. Kind of reminds me of my my Papuan python. but just a really beautiful animal, completely the opposite from that very busy heterozygote. So I'm going to put Mr. Cranky away. I call this guy Manson, by the way, for obvious reasons. He's a psycho. And let's take a look at the female. Alright, so we're going to take a look at the female, and again, I'm using the hook, but I can actually handle her a little bit better than that male without incident, but he was just so high stress. But it does seem to make things a little bit easier if I start with the hook. So it's a great tool to get nippy babies used to being handled. They're still a little twitchy and flinchy, and that's just going to go away with handling. So let's let her settle down. But you can see that little smudge of dark color on her head. And unfortunately the male wouldn't show you his face, but his eyes were a little more defined. You could see sort of a silver sclera with a black pupil, whereas this girl has jet black eyes. There we go. So she's pretty fantastic, and as you can see, she does not have the tail kinking. It's a little bit different than some of my other carpets, but she is pretty special. And she still has an attitude at times. She's a fantastic feeder though, so I'm not complaining, but as you can see, I've handled her quite a bit, and she's definitely a little bit lower stress than that male, but I still don't trust her 100%. And with that attitude and those jet black eyes, I've named her Black Dahlia. Woo! Because she's still a little crazy. So this girl is doing really well. At this size, carpet pythons can eat pretty good sized meals. I'm not pushing her, so every 2 weeks she gets a pup or a weaned rat right now. And as she grows, we'll up that. But she is very, very special. The other thing to note about when you're producing zebras is a lot of times zebra clutches, especially zebra to zebra clutches, for whatever reason, just end up being kind of train wreck clutches. There's health issues that go along with the eggs. Sometimes you'll have a lot of eggs die off or babies dead in the egg. So this clutch that these were produced from the adults you saw earlier, started out as a 13 egg clutch, I believe, and in the end, only 7 eggs made it full term. There were some pretty moldy, gross eggs that died off early and some that died halfway, and then a few that died in the end. And I ended up with 1 normal jungle, 4 zebras, and 2 super zebras. So the odds were still pretty good, but it would have been better to hatch 13 babies and see what else we could have done. So, but a pair of super zebras, I can't complain. So that was a highlight for me that year for sure. Yeah, these things are pretty cool. Zebras have been around for quite some time. You don't see a lot of super zebras being produced these days, probably because of these train wreck clutches, probably because people don't like the kinking, also because with jungles you can just selectively breed to make some pretty awesome jungles without a mutation. So not everybody needs morphs, but if you can have both, why not? So I'll be hopefully repeating this pairing again, and hopefully have better odds, a bigger clutch, better yield, and be able to offer some super zebras available for sale next year hopefully. So in the meantime, I'll just keep sharing these guys on social media, Instagram and whatnot. I posted a pretty cool photo of me holding both of the super zebras on Instagram recently, so I'll put that right here for you. That was pretty cool. That took some patience, but they're pretty awesome snakes. So if you're looking to add another project to your carpet pythons and your jungles in particular, and you don't have zebras, check them out. They're pretty neat. Alright, and last but not least, don't forget, if you're watching this, go sign up to become a member for USARK. Support them for supporting us. They just had a huge win in Florida with the Tegu and iguana ban. FWC has 30 days to appeal, but it looks like they've got the brakes pumped on that. So that's the organization that's protecting our rights. to keep a lot of these animals wherever you may live in the country. So if you're not a member, go change that. Go sign up. You can do $40 a year, $5 a month, whatever it is. It's not very expensive at all. So go do your part for them doing their part to help take care of us. And with that, I hope you guys appreciated learning a little bit of something from the carpet python realm of things, getting to see a little bit of a more focus, a spotlight, so to speak, on this zebra and super zebra mutation. So I hope you enjoyed, and I'll catch you all next week.